Good evening. A political aide has described the moment she heard a piercing scream after the Conservative MP Sir David Amess was stabbed to death. Julie Cushion recalled hearing the scream 5 minutes after Ali Harbi Ali was called to his appointment with the politician. Joe Caution was in court.
Yes, that piercing scream belonging to one of Sir David's junior aides, Rebecca Hayton, who was in the room at the Belfairs Methodist Church when the Southend West MP was killed. Now, the court were previously shown an email chain involving Rebecca and Ali, where he posed as a constituent who had just moved to the area, and that was how he managed to secure an appointment with the MP, despite living near Kentish Town in North London. Now, in an almost 90-minute recorded police interview shown to jurors today, Rebecca recalled the moment that Ali met Sir David. She said he was relaxed and seemed nice throughout his meeting, and then she emotionally recounted the moment Ali stood up and said sorry before leaning over the desk and stabbing the Conservative MP. She described how she ran outside screaming to find her colleague Julie Cushion. Now, she gave her evidence in person today and was asked by the prosecution how she thought Ali appeared when he was escorted out of the church by police, to which she described him of having a look of self-satisfaction, while another eyewitness, Yvonne Eves, said he looked as though he had achieved something and that he knew what he had done. Now, Yvonne was at the church with her partner Darren King, waiting for their own constituency appointment that was scheduled shortly after Ali's. They told the court how they ran inside to find Ali appearing in a doorway, waving around a knife, warning them not to come closer and to call the police. Now, the trial previously heard how Ali had allegedly spent years hatching this plot and sought to exact revenge for the bombings in Syria. The jury have heard how Sir David Amess had traditionally held meetings with constituents at his constituency surgery, where there were certain security measures in place. But he decided post-COVID to take this out into his constituency, into the 9 wards that he represents, because he wanted to be accessible to his constituents. It was something that he was passionate about. Now, Ali denies charges of murder and preparing acts of terrorism, and the trial continues.
Next tonight, with the cost of living at a 30-year high, all eyes were on the Chancellor today as he delivered his spring statement. Rishi Sunak has cut fuel duty by 5 pence for the next 12 months, but for many, this is nowhere near enough. With reaction to the statement, here's Tony Green.
Today's budget announcement was supposed to offer a lifeline to businesses like that of fisherman Chris Attenborough in Whitstable. But he doubts it will make any difference. Like many businesses, the price of fuel is making itself felt, and a 5p cut won't make it better.
You took your boat to the petrol station on the Thanet Way to fill up there. Is it really cheaper to do that than to fill your boat with red diesel?
It is at the moment, yes. By the time you get the duty and the VAT back off of the forecourt, you're talking roughly 80-90p a litre for white diesel. Now we're paying sort of 130, 140 for red. You're sort of starting to talk 2,000-3,000 litres. Makes a hell of a difference.
What were you hoping for from the budget today?
I was hoping to see something maybe similar to what, either the government stepping in somehow, like maybe like done with energy, put a price cap on it, or on fuel, or the French recently have had a 35 cents a litre subsidy put in place. So, 5p a litre off forecourt ain't going to make a long bit of difference to us.
Suzanne Wilde's business provides care to support older people living at home. But now her staff need financial support.
The staff are looking at how much the cost of living is, whether they can afford to run their cars. The petrol price has been so high. Staff are asking me, are you going to help us? Are you going to pay us petrol allowance? Where are we getting that petrol allowance from? We have to look at charging our service users, and the majority of them are pensioners.
The rising cost of living is being felt everywhere, including here in Canterbury.
We're pensioners, so nothing goes more into our pockets.
I don't know how they can help people. The situation at the time is so bad.
The price of petrol, I think it's gone up 10-15p in the last sort of week and a half. Again, it needs something to sort of ease that, just that sort of worry at the back of your mind, definitely.
Any hope of a bailout today has failed to materialise. There are real fears for the future for employees as well as employers, who, faced with global financial problems, have found themselves in the same boat. Tony Green, ITV News, Whitstable.
Police are investigating after an 82-year-old pedestrian was killed in a crash in Heathfield. Police were called to the A276 just before 3:30 yesterday. The road was closed while emergency services investigated. The government has announced it will take action against P&O Ferries over the sacking of 800 workers. Boris Johnson told the Commons he believed the company had broken the law. P&O Ferries says the redundancies were a last resort to keep the company viable after the pandemic. Tom Savidis has more details.
They say no pay! We say no way! No
They're
pay!
marching through Dover in protest at losing their jobs in shock sackings 7 days ago. Many had worked for P&O Ferries for decades, only to be told they were no longer needed. Workers like Lee Davison, with 30 years service.
This is just to make sure that P&O know we're not going away, this isn't going to stop, and we want our jobs back.
How has it been this past week having to cope with being made redundant?
It's been a blur. That's all I can say for myself.
800 loyal British workers fired over Zoom, instantly replaced by foreign agency workers shipped in on less than the minimum wage. If the Prime Minister can't stop that, what's the point of his government?
Today, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer quizzing the Prime Minister about the redundancies. Listen to his response.
It looks to me, Mr. Speaker, as though the company concerned has broken the law, and we will be taking action, therefore.
So did P&O Ferries break the law when they dismissed 800 employees and replaced them with cheaper agency staff?
Have they broken any criminal laws? It doesn't look like it. Have they acted in a way which is probably going to mean that they've breached the duties they owe to their employees, for instance, under the Employment Rights Act 1996? Almost certainly, yes.
The 3 P&O ferries that were moored in Dover docks behind me a week ago on the day of the announcement of those massive job losses are still stationary. In the meantime, the government, the parent company of P&O Ferries, and the workers are arguing over the way forward. P&O Ferries insist they did not commit any offences by sacking workers without notice. But tomorrow a committee of MPs will look at the way the company handled the dismissals and what options are available to those who lost their jobs. Tom Savidis, ITV News, Dover.
And finally tonight, performers in the world-famous musical Stomp are preparing to celebrate their 30th anniversary in Brighton. The show was born out of busking on the city's streets, and since then it's been seen by 12 million people worldwide. It's in rehearsals for a 5-week run at the Old Market in Hove, a venue its creators bought a decade ago.
It's a fantastic space. It's got fantastic acoustics. It's right in the heart of Hove. You know, it's got a history here. It's also a great venue for new and emerging talent. It's not necessarily about shows like Stomp. You know, we don't really need to play here. It's playing here to bring awareness back, to bring the audiences back, to then sustain the theatre for other younger acts so they can come and perform.
Brilliant. Weather time now. Here's Philippa Drew.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Good evening. It's been another dry day with blue skies overhead, and it looks set fair for the next few days as well. Lots of dry and fine weather in the forecast, warm in the best of the sunshine, but still some chilly nights to contend with. And that will certainly be the case overnight tonight. So dry, clear skies. Underneath those clear skies, temperatures taking a bit of a tumble. Inland down to around 1 or 2 Celsius quite widely. And that in turn giving rise to a little patchy grass frost by dawn, perhaps even 1 or 2 shallow mist and fog patches as well. But any mist, fog and frost will soon melt away tomorrow morning. Glorious sunshine to start the day once again. Perhaps a little patchy fair weather cloud bubbling up as the day wears on, but not enough to spoil that sunshine. And inland, again, temperatures well above where we'd expect them to be at this time of year. Highs tomorrow, 17, perhaps 18 Celsius. Always just a touch fresher around the coast. Through the latter stages of tomorrow, overnight into Friday, really a repeat performance. So dry and clear overnight, a little mist and frost developing in places, but that's soon melting on Friday. Another dry and fine day. More of the same through the weekend and beyond. Just those chilly nights to contend with. Good night.
Vaillant sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So lovely to have more sunshine, and that's all from us. We're back tomorrow morning at 6 with Good Morning Britain. But from me and the team here tonight, thanks for your company. See you tomorrow. Good night.